Alright, it's time for that moment when Croak Dream album review. Yeah, this is an album I was looking forward to for the past couple months. Um, or at least it had been at least a full month before, probably longer, um, when I was starting to wait for it because I was introduced to this artist through actually the first track and first single, Desire, through a friend of mine. Then I ended up listening through their entire discography, including some live show recordings and some singles that are not on albums, but I've already discussed and reviewed X Chamber on this channel because A, I think it's incredibly underrated, and B, it's my favorite project from him. And spoiler alert, it still is. As of me recording this, might change at some point, but this is up there for me. And it is in his discography. I would assume I have a very different ranking from most people in my personal enjoyment. Um, like if you forced me to right now, it would probably be X Chamber, Anti Chamber, and then this. I know Holy Waters is very well regarded, and while I do really like Mirage, I haven't really cared to revisit that project much at all outside of Mirage. And this is one I can definitely see a lot more. I think this is the most varied project in his entire discography, and I think that has a lot of positive and negative implications for me. Because it does make it the most like potentially hit or miss. And I think there are a couple tracks here that are currently misses for me, may change in the future. Currently hits for me, maybe change in the future. And tracks I think are just straight up like stand out tracks that I don't think are really going to go down for me at all. Um, and honestly, the best track on this album, personally, and I think in his entire discography, is still Desire. I cannot express how good this song is. Don't get me wrong, I talked about Mirage earlier, and it's a very, very good song, but I think it's carried by its back end and its story, which is very sad. Very, very sad. But in terms of an entire song and the lyrics and the performance and the production and everything, I think Desire is the best complete like song in every regard, and I think it is a perfect album opener for really any of his projects, but this one in particular that's so all over the place. And in fact, think the first three tracks, as much as I don't love all of them equally, do function very well to start off the album. But yeah, Desire is one of my most listened to songs from him. That's not off of X Chamber. I've really just only had it grow on me over time. And even when there were other two singles released for the album, they never hit that peak for me. Technically a third, which is Mr. Loss, or fourth, which is Mr. Loss. I don't really know why there was a random music video dropped for it like the day that the album came out. Like, I don't know. At least for me, it was a midnight release, and yeah, no, it was a bit weird. Having that just kind of get dropped out of nowhere. I'm a little mixed on the track. There's some production elements and story writing things I do really like. It does feel a little out of place, both in this track list in general, but also as track number two. But I also feel like that is very representative of how varied the album is in general. But yeah, having someone who's just like, it's very much so like the monotony of being a worker and this very like weird, almost, I don't even know what you would call the production stuff. It's a little, I've talked about I can get headaches and stuff from music very easily, and that's the this is the track that I've be the most worried about, and I feel like is most likely to be a skip from that perspective. Well, this and a track we'll get to later, but but I do like the concept. I do wish it went a little further, production wise. Like it's kind of just in one spot the whole time. Like there's a little bit of movement, but I wish it kind of picked up. Um, So I'm a little mixed on the track overall, but I do commend it because at least it's very different. This is the most different track in the entire track list from a like from that like a story writing perspective. It's very cool. Hold You is pretty good. It's just a solid all around. Feels a bit anti-chamberish, and I don't really mind that at all. That being his previous like big album, because X Chamber was kind of more of a the fall of by Gorillaz style album where it was kind of just shoved online and there was no physical releases. Although the fall did have physical releases later. Um, yeah, I do like Hold You. Um, I don't really have too much to say on it. It's a very Puma Blue song. I don't I don't know. Croak Dream is very interesting. I remember when this track came out and I had a bit of mixed takes on it, but my biggest thing was just the lyrics are the most interesting to me. And I think that maybe apart from Mr. Lost and a couple other tracks, like this is still one of the more interesting lyrical tracks in the project. Um, I quite enjoy it. It is long. I did not realize it's the longest song. That's quite interesting to me. But yeah, no, I mean, the music video, I don't normally like talking about music videos, but it's like this PS1 graphic kind of thing, and it's such a weird mishmash. And I think it supposedly came out the day that the PS1 released in Japan, so that's kind of cool. But in terms of the track itself, um, I think it's pretty well performed. I think it has really good lyrics, and I do quite like the production. It's probably one of the standouts for me, and I think it is a really great title track. Heaven Above, Heaven Below, Hell Below. Heaven Above, Hell Below is a track that I like. I have had thoughts on it before when I initially listened to it, because I've only listened to most of these tracks twice as of recording with reading lyrics because someone was really awesome and on YouTube literally put all the lyrics to all the non singles that exclude the instrumental track we'll get to later. But this was a track where I was like, production wise, I was like, okay. And then in the lyrical wise, I was like, okay. And then the vocal part hit towards the back end, and I went, oh, this is like Mirage again. And it kind of is, but I maybe like it a little more, or at the very least in the context of this project. I think it works very well. I think the production does win me over enough that I like the full song because the worry with songs like this where it's like, oh, you're kind of just flexing a little bit on vocal performance is that it can detract from the lyrics a bit. And maybe it does, but it's not enough to bother me. Like I honestly do really like this track and oh man, that ending is so good. The last vocal bit is so good, and there's not a whole lot on this project that I think really hits that level to me with the vocal performance. So I'll take it. Uh, Fool, Fool is good. I don't really have too much to say on it, nor do I feel like it was that standout, but it's enjoyable. Um, that's about it. Hush was the third single, and starts out very dark. And it's the shortest song, and you kind of feel it, but it doesn't bother me too much. I do like it, but it's and this is something also with Croak Dream where there are some little bits of the lyrics where I'm like, it's a little maybe dramatic, but it doesn't totally bother me. But I'm like a little like, okay. Because in Croak Dream, you have like the drive a spear right through me. Bleed so heavy for those eyes is in Hush. And I'm like, these are cool lines, but they feel a little, a little much. But I do still enjoy them. But this is such a weird track, and I do quite like the production has grown on me a lot over the course of re-listening to it. Because this is again like with the singles, I've re-listened to them a lot, in particular Desire, but still the title track and Hush has grown on me a lot. I did like it initially, but I really quite like it now. Now we will talk about my second favorite track. Maybe will overtake as number one. It is certainly, since the album dropped, my most re-listened, and that's Jaded. And this is an instrumental track. This has no lyrics. There's some like vocal bits in the background for sampling, but I don't think there's any specific lyrics in them. Um, this has some guitar distortion, something that is very model actress esque, and I never would have expected a track like this. And it's like a lot more fast feeling. There's some really smooth production changes. This is the Cosmo Transporter of this album. I That's a very specific reference, but Cosmo Transporter is a fully instrumental track. It's not even the only one I think on In Dreams, which I gave it 10. I love that album by Duster, and that's just like a very more faster paced, especially relative to that album. But and with here, it's just a like faster paced, very instrumental, like production focused. Because the thing with instrumental tracks is sometimes they're just a bit too bare bones, and here it feels like there's so much going on, but it's not overpowering. And I could legitimately listen to this song on repeat for like a year. It is one of my favorite songs in the album and in his discography. This, in conjunction with Desire, does really help this album become something I'm going to come back to. I do wish that I liked every song as much as I liked these two tracks on the album. Then it would probably be a 10 or a 9. But like it's still such a good song. And I think it also works really well after Hush. Also, no, I don't know if every track was I guess if I liked them as much as it, but I don't know if I would want them to all be in this style. I think Jaded works so well because it's really the only track that feels of this caliber. Silently is very pop esque, very smooth. I do wish the lyrics had a little more because it's kind of just you do I and then I do you, like you just swap from I to you. But it's so pretty. It's a very nice song. You go somewhere I cannot follow. Ooh, not doing that in rhythm. Cocoons is, in my opinion, the track that should have been the last song on the album. I'll get to Yearn Again after this, but this is a very good track. I do need more time with it to really fully feel like where I am with it, but I don't want to wait on this review. And I mean, I've had other reviews where I've just been like, yeah, I'll end up maybe re-reviewing it if it changes my mind enough. But this is a very good song. It's maybe not top 3 or 4 for me in the track list, but it's very good. And I think it would have been a great closer. And then Yearn Again is there. And I don't think Yearn Again is bad, but it is bottom 2 on the album for me. And I don't think it's close. I think Mr. Lost and Yearn Again are the ones I'm the most mixed on. And Mr. Lost I have a lot more like that I like about it. Yearn Again, I've only listened to this track twice. On the first listen I was a lot more negative, but I think the production is fine, but I think it's some of the worst on the album. I think it tonally, it's kind of sad because lyrically there's a lot more, and I don't like it. I just don't. I don't know what it is, but I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of the performance really much. I really don't like the vocal filter. That's kind of like the same thing. And we were talking about In Dreams earlier, but the Anhedonia has this weird kind of gate. I don't know what you call it, where it's like a filter gate thing where it's kind of going in and out a little bit. So it does like a I don't know on the vocals, and it does bother me. I feel like it can give me a headache, but also it's just kind of doesn't sound that good. Like it feels like it's there just to mix something up. Um, there's some lyrical bits towards the end that I'm a bit more partial to, but the whole front end I'm not a fan of, and the back end production just feels thrown together. And I guess I know it's very trip hop and jazz oriented. It's just kind of annoying. It's just this is the one part. And I feel like this track is just a skip for me right now. Like it and that's kind of sad because it's the last track. And personally, final tracks are some of my most important for me, but I also don't want to over rely on that for my enjoyment of the record. So it has a skip. It has a skip of a song I don't think is bad, but I think is just considerably worse. And it has a track that is a maybe skip, being Mr. Lost, where it's very dependent and it is quite different, but I do commend it. So where does this album really lie? And I think probably as a full project, like it, I think now that I've really discussed it, apart from those two songs, this album's pretty dang consistent, and there are some very good songs, but I do have issues with it, and I can't really overlook that. So I think probably this is like a light slow 7. That's probably where I'd have to put it. It feels like it could or should be a lot higher, but I feel like I can't with the tracks that are lower for me. Maybe just a flat 7. I think just a flat 7. It's a good album. It is a good album. I do like it. It is 2 tiers above average. There are some very high highlights, but even if I Urine Again was on the level of Mr. Lost, where it was just I kind of like, it's hit or miss, whatever. Um, I just feel like this album does have a weird problem with its consistency, and it's like, I mean, it really just kind of is its consistency because there are tracks that are so different that are near each other where it doesn't really fit, like Mr. Lost in general, and Urine Again, honestly. But like, and even Jaded, even if I think it does work well into it, like Hush, Jaded, and Silently is a weird trio to have back to back. It does feel a little like it feels like the parts that are similar are a bit too similar, and the parts that aren't are so vastly different, it's hard to make it feel like it's not a mixtape. And I don't say that purely negatively, but it does feel like I want to go into the album wanting one thing, and because of the difference in quality and consistency, I don't necessarily like it's a very weird like full listen, and that does impact it, and I think that's why it can't really be an 8 for me, even though I think it could be. um I think just a 7 is where I'm at, which is still good. I still think it's a good album. I think it has some of his best tracks and vocals performances, but like X Chamber, even with my issues with it, is such a complete package. Antichamber, same thing. I do need to review Antichamber at some point, but yeah, I think that's about all I got. It's a very good album. I'm very happy about it. It's probably my album of the year right now. It's either this or the ASAP Rocky record that I will probably discuss at some point. But we'll see if The Mountain beats it, which I have no idea right now because that album is very weird so far on the singles. So who knows? And you know that moment, Ryan. Yeah, I'm excited for Puma Blue's next project. I know I want him to go back to more experimental, and this definitely has some experimental, but like I would like it if he did X Chamber 2 essentially, but we already got that, so I don't care what he does. I'm very happy with where his discography is now. Even if he stopped completely, I would be fine with it. But I hope he just keeps pumping out albums because he did 2 last year, and this is already 1 for this year. So it'd be great to get another couple albums out of him.